When President Goodluck Jonathan assumed the mantle of leadership as the President of Nigeria, Africa's largest democracy, one of the promises he made to all Nigerians is to enhance and deepen the democratic process through the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections. This gave birth to that popular saying by him, quote, "My political ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian." And this guided his words and deeds all along. Even in the heat of the electioneering campaigns, when politicians from both the People's Democratic Party and the APC were engaged in verbal war and hate speeches, which completely subsumed campaign messages and superior arguments with which to sway voters, President Goodluck Jonathan refused to lose his civility to join the fray of those who perpetually kept the political temperature of Nigeria in the run-up to the 2015 presidential elections on the boil. Indeed, the political atmosphere became so charged that there was palpable tension and apprehension about the outcome of the 2015 presidential election. The first danger signal was sounded by the National Human Rights Commission, which informed Nigerians that even before the elections, over 100 people had died of pre-election related violence of varying degrees and proportions. Never before has Nigeria attracted the attention of the world as it did before, during, and after the 2015 presidential election. The United Nations, the European Union, the United States, the United Kingdom, and other friendly countries genuinely intervened, advising all players in the elections to play by the rules of the game, to avoid any action that will lead to conflagration in Nigeria, because this will have very negative consequences for Africa and the world in general, given the omnibus position of Nigeria in Africa. As a complete gentleman that he is, a man whose words are his bond, President Goodluck Jonathan has kept faith with Nigeria, Nigerians, and indeed the international community. He has delivered an election which has been adjudged by all to be free, fair, and credible. In fact, the advanced democracies of the world say by that, Nigeria has set new standards for democracy in these parts. As President Goodluck Jonathan promised, he has done everything humanly possible to enhance the credibility of elections in Nigeria, and indeed Nigeria's democratic credentials before the world. A legacy, he says, he has asked all Nigerians to endeavor to keep faith with. Rather than annul an election won in a free and fair contest, or encourage his followers to approach the 2015 presidential elections in a do-or-die manner, which he could have used all the presidential muscle at his disposal to back, President Goodluck Jonathan, in another political masterstroke, which has made him the hero of Nigeria's democracy and a worthy statesman, did what no Nigerian leader before him had been able to do. President Goodluck Jonathan took his defeat in his strides and congratulated General Muhammadu Buhari for his doggedness, steadfastness, and perseverance. By this single act, President Goodluck Jonathan was able to douse the tension and post-election violence that had been widely predicted to follow the announcement of the results of the presidential election, and a peaceful and friendly atmosphere of celebration that cut across all parts of the country ensued. Without any doubt at all, President Goodluck Jonathan occupies a very high pedestal among leaders in the Committee of Democratic Nations of the world. Nigerians too, the old, the young, and the middle-aged, should be commended for the patriotic and never-say-die Nigerian spirit they demonstrated that resulted in the success of the elections. Nigerians refuse to be frustrated by the malfunctioning of the card readers, as reported in most parts of the country. They made unending trips to their registration units to collect their PVCs, remained on the queues for hours before being accredited to cast their ballots. Some even waited patiently for the collation, counting, and announcement of the results. The security agencies too should be commended for the efforts they put in to make the elections a resounding success. With over 15 million votes garnered from outright wins and 25% in 27 states, 54% of the total votes, to President Goodluck Jonathan's close to 13 million votes from outright wins in 15 states and the FCT, and 25% in 26 states, including North Central states of Nasarawa, Plateau, and Taraba, with over 45% of the total votes cast. The President-elect, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, in his fourth attempt at the presidency, this time around, recorded a decisive victory that has a national spread, which he lacked in his three previous attempts in 2003, 2007, and 2011. The journey that gave General Muhammadu Buhari this victory began in 2013 with the formulation of the Rainbow Coalition. This comprised political parties like the ANPP, the CPC, on which platform General Buhari contested the presidency in 2011, ACN, and a part of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. The coalition metamorphosed into the All Progressive Congress, APC. With strongholds in the Northwest, which has the largest voting population in Nigeria, the Southwest Zone with the second largest voting population, the North Central and Northeast as its catchment areas, with the Southeast and South-South coming on strong. Before the 2015 election, political analysts had predicted a very keen contest between the PDP and the APC, because this is the first time the country was having two parties and candidates of equal strength facing each other in the presidential election. True to the prediction, it remained a ding-dong affair between the APC and the PDP until the very last minute when results were announced. The results showed that this is the first time in the history of Nigeria when an incumbent president was defeated in an election that was relatively free and fair. It should be noted that President Goodluck Jonathan, whose transformation program has positively affected many sectors of Nigerian life, agriculture, power, education, health, sport, and so on, lost the election mainly because of the internal problems of his party, the PDP, which negatively affected his chances, especially in the Southwest, Northeast, and Northwest. In these areas, he posted better results in the 2011 elections, which gave him a landslide victory over General Muhammadu Buhari in that election. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, indeed needs to put its house in proper order, because there's still a harder battle ahead. Otherwise, it will sink even further the abyss. The outcome of the governorship election that comes up on the 11th of April 2015 will be a veritable index to judge how much work had been done by the party to smoothen the rough edges, which have reduced a political machinery which prides itself as the largest party in Africa, in control of 28 states of the country's 36 states, and majority membership of the Senate and the House of Representatives, to a party with control of lesser states and indeed minority membership in both chambers of the National Assembly. It is hoped that, as the PDP said at its first meeting after the 2015 general elections, that the party has learned great lessons on the present setback. PDP party faithful have been advised to remain steadfast in the renewed effort to deliver PDP flag bearers in the remaining elections. The emergence of General Muhammadu Buhari had been described in all kinds of superlatives, the dawn of a new era in Nigeria, a defining moment of our nation's democracy. General Muhammadu Buhari has a date with history to live up to the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. In our own estimation, what should be topmost in its priority is how to bring about security in all parts of the country, particularly in the Northeast Zone, where the Boko Haram insurgents have held sway since 2009.
We must forget our old battles and past grievances and learn to forge ahead. But I assure you that Boko Haram will soon know the strength of our collective will and the commitment to rid this nation of terror, and strongly battle another form of evil that is even worse than terrorism.
With its anti-corruption credentials acknowledged by all, the days of business as usual, which has badly affected Nigeria's economy, should be gone forever. Its hearty congratulations to General Muhammadu Buhari the change agent of our time. Our candid advice of the People's General is that he should roll up his sleeves and be ready for the rescue operations he promised Nigerians when he canvassed for their votes across the nook and crannies of the country.
Well, by now, we will be sounding like a broken gramophone record about the objectives of the APC. It has been summarized so many times, and I have to remind you, our intention, God willing, is to secure this country and efficiently manage it. So God help us. Thank you very much.
There's no doubt that with the overwhelming votes he got from Nigerians at the elections, General Buhari is indeed truly loved by all.
I look forward to meeting with President Jonathan in the days to come to discuss how our teams can make the transition of administration as efficient as possible.
For the teeming youths of our country who are yet to be employed, General Buhari's emergence on the scene should be good news to them, as provision of jobs is one of the cardinal promises on which his campaign was premised. There are fellows from the General's camp that the Almajiri school system put in place by President Goodluck Jonathan will be repackaged. However, the most arduous and daunting task before General Muhammadu Buhari is the process of welding the country back together as one indivisible entity. That's one big challenge evidently thrown up in the last presidential elections, where Nigerians were divided along ethnic, religious, and regional lines. Nigeria of the 21st century should have outgrown such primordial tendencies. Nigeria's unity is a big task that must be pursued with vigor by the President-elect General Muhammadu Buhari. Given his antecedents in the military, where the whole country is seen as its constituency, whether north, south, west, or east, General Muhammadu Buhari, who turns 73 on the 17th of July this year, is in strong stead to achieve this. May God bless Nigeria.